that's
the
like
Darks here any longer.
Agreed. That's like kind of overkill, but it can work because you always have a target to mana void in the fights. They're gonna ban out. Okay, they're gonna ban out Magnus anyway here. Just a little bit afraid of that one.
Yeah, and Spectre on the other side. So HellRaisers right now really aiming at those big carries, the Sven and the Spectre right now. I would say like top 2 in the meta. What do you think? Anything else that's creeping up there? Perhaps Terrorblade? Anti-Mage as well, of course.
It's just game specific, right? Like I think Arc Warden has his arguments too in some games where it just looks insane. It's I think it all just depends. I still think like I see that Spectre ban and then I'm like Spectre Darkseer. It's saying like Drow Ranger still to me, right? Like this ranged carry that doesn't want to get jumped on.
The only problem for me in this Drow Ranger pick would be the fact that you are playing versus Surge, right? So it's going to enable any hero to get on top of her. But they just might go. It worked so well in the first game. If they played a similar playstyle, I don't think one teammate can make such a big difference. Like last hero coming in,
I mean, I feel like when you're up against an Oracle or something, you kind of need someone with a blink and ability to get backline, silence the Oracle, make sure they can't do anything in the team fights, and kind of instantly take him out. But we're going to see an Ember picked up here.
Okay.
What is the way you deal with Oracle?
Heroes that get on top of him with high reach instantly. So your Storm Spirits, or heroes that are invis and get on top of him, such as Ricky, like anything that Clock perhaps, just getting on top of him, isolating him, and killing him off first. But like you said, you called the Drow Ranger before. Now with that Lycan ban, it makes even more sense, right? Like it definitely is an option.
Some type of range carry that pairs with Oracle, or I mean, like we said, they still might do anti-mage. Ember pick, I think it's elusive carry. Or elusive kind of pseudo carry in a way. They're already playing versus Doom. You can play around that one really nicely. You got good absorb and catch. I mean, they just owned with it last game too, so roll with the punches. They're already drafting like fast-paced draft that I'm looking at from like just like last time, right? Ember, Tiny, Oracle, not really cooldown reliant so much.
All right, some Grimstroke coming from Bait. That's pretty much your combo with the Doom, right? You can false promise one target, you can't false promise two. So maybe with that Soulbind plus double Doom.
Picking it into Oracle, though. But, I mean, you're not going to lane versus the Oracle. But there's still potential for those dispels all the time.
It's kind of difficult, right? Later on in the game, you usually pop the Inkspell on the target, then you wait a little bit, blink in, with that Inkspell just instantly stunning. So you won't really be able to deal with him later on in the game. But like you said, if he is against him in the laning stage, it's really strong.
It's like the super buff carry is what we see. We've seen this one, like the Darkseer Grimstroke, right? You're surged, you're Ion Shelled, you're Inkswelled, you're zooming at people. They have the Dispel, which is going to be really strong versus it. So I want some hero that can get on top of people fast. Your PAs, your Rickies, these type of heroes that can just get on in the backline. And Ricky, right, versus Oracle and stuff like that. I feel like that one actually sounds pretty good if they do want to go for something
pretty sick versus Ember, really good in the laning stage as well with the Grimstroke, has high armor. That Inkswell setup with the Blink Strike is really solid.
Looks pretty good.
Overall, it just depends on what...
there he is.
Again.
Force their hand to now ban Drow, and then they can just pick like Luna, and I think they're gonna do some same thing, like same super fast-paced kind of draft.
They go for
Terrorblade.
It's a hero that so there are some positives, some negatives, like always in drafts. And Terrorblade here, it's good that he's versus the Beastmaster in the laning stage. That's pretty solid for him.
Sure.
He has the buff with the Iron Shell if he reaches that point as well, which is pretty solid. Bad things are he's playing versus this Ember Spirit, which can itemize really well against TB. And if Tiny has a good game, he's a constant threat to you. Jumps on top of you and blows you up. You have a lot of armor, but your health bar doesn't really grow until you get a couple of really big items.
Yeah, they ban the Drow, right? So with that TB pick, you have to kind of ban the Drow because the armor negation from marksmanship.
This is a sick Arc Warden game for HellRaisers as well. Like you called it before,
absolutely.
And if they wanted to, they could definitely pick it. Now, I did say before that Surge makes his life also a little bit complicated, but like you can't be afraid of that. Like you just have to draft for your thing and hope to outplay the Surge initiations.
Okay, yeah, and they ban the Zeus because they have the Terrorblade. They want to cover themselves.
Yeah.
Speaking of that,
when you look at HellRaisers, they definitely do have tower taking capabilities already in Beastmaster. So this last pick can be something that's very similar to Ember. You don't need that's why the Zeus is banned. You don't need your true position 1 win condition, right?
One of my favorite things about this game is Beastmaster's default cosmetic. 0 armor on his entire body, except for this gigantic codpiece. What an absolute unit. The guy has literally nothing on him except for what appears to be a gravestone covering his crotch. He knows how to protect himself from these dangers.
It's the war paint as well, right? He has the war paint.
He's got paint
He's ready
and
to
a
go.
gigantic thing to protect the crotch.
Okay,
Good for him, and there's a Void.
The Void Spirit again.
Just covering his weak spots. Void Spirit picked up by Bait, and we'll see a similar matchup on that mid. The same matchup, actually.
Same
Void Spirit
matchup,
versus Ember. Same players playing both of them as well.
He's got a lot of things to enable him too. He's got Ion Shell, he's got that Inkswell, he's got the Surge, so should be an easier time for him to access the back lines
This
in
looks
particular, right? That's the hero that jumps in the back,
That's
literally,
right.
like Astral Step. Super easy to get on those backline heroes.
Got the
Looks
double
like-
walls too. Darkseer on his innate ball ability.
Yep.
It's very scary for the Void, but continue, Blizzard.
Looks like a sick.
Whoa!
Ooh, all right.
Who is that hero?
I don't know if this hero does this hero even exist anymore,
Hello?
right? I mean,
What is that?
That's a
He has a
scar.
spear.
so
an
that
Andrew?
is a hero that used to be amazing versus Darkseer. Darkseer hates laning versus Huskar.
Why
Oh
is
man. It looks like it looks like a very kind of similar style to what they were going for last game. It's just super fast paced, run at you, take buildings, take every fight. And it's an Oracle Huskar. I mean, this stuff used to just win games straight up.
Let's take a look at those odds here. It appears things have slid a little bit out of
little.
Bates' favor, but still pretty much where we have been so far. After that draft, boys, do you agree? It's been so long since we've seen a Huskar. I don't know if it's a good hero anymore.
Yeah,
I don't know
it's
either,
the same. We don't know. We haven't seen him in competitive for a really long time, and pubs obviously don't matter. So, coming from our limited experience, I actually like Bates' drafts.
I do
quite a bit.
Yeah, I like it as long as the TB can get online,
Yeah.
right? Like if the TB has a horrible game and he just gets shut down, I think they can probably just lose this game in 20 minutes. But if the game gets stalled out at all, BA, I mean, it's a TB versus Huskar matchup. I think you can do pretty damn well on that one if you're farmed.
Sure. All right, gentlemen, well, our time is nearly up. The teams are getting into the games. What will it be? The Huskar Oracle combo that people play in your 3K pubs? Or will it be the team with the good heroes? Soon we shall find out. Let us go on over to the BSJ and Dota's Capitalist.
You gotta work on your filler there, Slacks. It's not good filler if they tell you to toss in like 10 seconds and you just speak very slowly before it gets into the game.
I feel like it wasn't that obvious that he was doing that until, brought it to everyone's attention. There were at least
But I like throwing Slacks under the bus as often as possible. I gotta make sure he doesn't take my job. Did you see his play-by-play earlier?
That's true. I also saw the replay of his play-by-play when he was mimicking OD Pixel Rap.
Yeah, I'm
God.
already getting beat out by OD Pixel Rap God. I don't need to get beat out by Sass.
The guy dancing over there in
Rap
the
God who's
background.
dancing like a goon.
You guys don't even know what you're missing out there.
Yeah, you really
Or-
don't, and maybe it's best that you do miss it, as hopefully we're going to be cutting into this game too. BSJ, do you agree this is a garbage pick?
Yeah, with my experience thus far in pubs, Huskar, I haven't seen this hero at all. So I don't know anything.
Well, I could say that it's been picked up twice in Omega League. None of the good teams are drafting it, let's say. I think we had one match in South America and one match in Europe.
What are you trying to say about
maybe the
South America
qualifiers.
or what?
But it was the lesser teams of both regions.
I
think
see.
in the CIS scene, it was Evil Corporation, who didn't even qualify. And then the other one, I think might have been Gorilla Pride or somebody else.
Well, this is, Fogg was talking about it being in the safe lane, but that's obviously not going to happen. I think the worst thing to play against Darkseer is to get dove as by the Darkseer +1. And so any hero without an A wave clear, you don't really want to put them in the safe lane. So it's going to be a Huskar mid completely under the pretense that he's going to dominate this melee versus Huskar matchup. They did need a carry,
I like how you call me out, by the way, for throwing Slacks under the bus, but then you immediately throw Yanni's under the bus.
Yeah. I mean, when I heard that, I was
That's
like...
a little hypocritical of you, Brian.
Well, when it comes to Dota strategy, I guess for you casting, for me, like, mechanics or laning and stuff, it's like, come on, he's not going to put the Huskar safe lane. Yannis, you're better than
Jesus, Fogged. Get your shit together.
Yeah, what are you doing,
Brian's
man?
calling you a total scrub. You better beat his ass.
He only carries me in party queue. He doesn't know what he's actually talking about on panel. But yeah, this Huskar pick, I've always thought of him recently as like a lane-winning, game-losing hero. And with this Ember safe lane, you did need like a win condition if you're going to leave the Ember in the safe lane, right? So I don't mind what they're going for here. This might be the most reasonable Huskar pick I've ever seen. That's comparing to the other Huskar picks that I have not seen, because I have not seen any. So, but at the same time,
so it's the best pickup of nothing.
Yeah. It's just like when my mom tells me I'm her favorite son and I only have a sister. You know, it's, it's the same concept there. But at the end of the day, if this were bait with the Huskar, I'd probably be like, GG. You know.
Well, my parents tell me that I'm their second favorite child, and I'm the only child.
Damn. Well, that you know about. just
I was just gonna let that one go. See what happened.
You're letting it simmer a little bit there. I understand. I think the biggest problem with Huskar is map mobility and lane shoving. That's really what he struggles against, is when the opponent can just separate and ignore him. Yeah. And I do think the other two cores of HellRaisers do alleviate that weakness a lot between the Beastmaster and Ember. So with all that in mind, believing that HellRaisers is the better team, for me, I'm in for an interesting game at least, because Bait's got all the broken heroes this patch, and HellRaisers has a Huskar. Pretty much what the panel said. I'm just re-quoting the one thing I actually agreed with.
Fair enough. Dendy is doing really well in the mid lane. I will give him shout-outs. I was watching him.
What the hell? Wait, what?
He was blowing through all of his mana to get like these individual kills. He would Void Remnant a range creep. He was using his E. I don't remember the name now.
Resonant Pulse.
Yes. And then he has Dissimulate leveled up early on. He went 1-1-1. So he can try and get away from the Huskar when needed and maybe get another CS.
Huskar is like Viper, except for his level 1 and 2 is really bad. That's the problem with Huskar, I think, is I am shocked he's losing mid lane this badly. I think it's a bit skewed because Void Spirit will have to invest a lot in regen in order to compensate for all the harass he takes from Flaming Spears, but does just immediately purge the Ion Shell. I don't exactly know what they're trying to accomplish here.
Get the first blood.
What are they doing back here? I don't think this works against Oracle. I think you can drag the creeps just the direct path, but to be playing that aggressively behind the tower, kind of just asking for trouble. I do like the Ember in that regard. Oracle's nice for removing the Iron Shell, but Ember is a carry that can actually capitalize and punish on them trying to just cut like this.
Yeah. He's got that. Oh, again. Damn. Okay. Seems like having Last Hero come back into the team is not working out for them any better than Ghosted could.
Yeah, I think the reason why this Huskar even makes more sense is because top lane's supposed to be so dominant. With the Oracle Ember versus the Doom Darkseer, that their goal was all in this just crush all 3 lanes scenario.
Yeah.
And it seems to not be going according to plan with Kasani in the mid lane here. But Dendy, like I said, is going to have to invest a lot in regen, as he might just die here. I actually think he's just dead. I don't see how
he's trying to bottle charge so he can dissimulate, but it's not going to work.
It is a war of attrition with Huskar, and even though you're winning the early levels, eventually Huskar is just going to keep clicking W on you. I think Dendy's just a bit unfamiliar with this matchup, as I'm sure he hasn't laid against too many Huskars. At this point, most melee heroes just have to leave. The problem with Void Spirit is he's not like Ember, where Flame Guard's a pretty good jungling spell at level 2-ish. While Void Spirit, Resonant Pulse, and Dissimulate are pretty underwhelming this early on in the game to hit jungle creeps with. So he doesn't really have a backup game plan there.
Yeah.
Crystallis is farming pretty well bottom. That's the nature of the Beastmaster Terrorblade matchup. Beastmaster's just a pretty strong laner in general, so it always goes okay for him. It used to be really bad back in the day, but Terrorblade should absolutely free farm just due to the nature of having 11 base armor against Beastmaster, who's all physical damage.
Look at how active this Ember's being. I love it. He's being part of kills and he even tries to secure the bounty rune. Last hero does snatch it away from him. Refills up his bottle. Get the other one at least.
Never refuse.
Takes it away from Dendy, who definitely needed that refill on his bottle.
That's a really good move by him there. He knows he's more of the mid laner here, right? The Huskar is going to be playing like a 1, just playing for his own game, farming as fast as he can to hit those timings. Ember's just an enabler from the safe lane. And so what I define as like the 1 and the 2 is just how high of a priority are you when it comes to making decisions for yourself in the game? Are you making your decisions solely for yourself, or are you factoring in anyone else on your team? And in this case, he's perfectly fine to make these aggressive moves at the expense of his own efficiency in order to, you know, take bounties from the opponent mid laner and such. So oddly enough, the Oracle going down behind tower. Ember is already level 6, so he might just elect to leave on Oracle. He's only going to go back if he thinks there's kills to be had, because Ember definitely does not need his help anymore. It looks like he's going to immediately go back as I say that. So Kasani does have to keep in mind if they try to like 3-man gank him right now that his Oracle just TP'd top. So he's not going to have any backup coming in from support TPs. DED for Huskar, will he be able to push pressure with this 5-minute catapult, which at 6 minutes and 20 seconds is still alive. So that looming threat is still there, as Surprise 5-Up hasn't considered
running mid,
yeah,
eating it.
Yeah, devouring it.
Well, he might not... okay, last hero runs the opposite direction here. Oh, mid lane, looks like they are going to be able to punish Kasani. Didn't have the Oracle TP, Brian.
I'm actually flaming Oracle right now.
Yeah.
I've had limited experience as a support, but I've tried to make myself a more well-rounded Dota player, and I've realized whenever I die as support that I have to think really hard about whether or not my TP to the safe lane screws somebody else.
Yes.
And I hate to be like that Oracle of the game, you know, but I said he TP's top. You got to be careful about his Huskar now, and what do you know? It's just... It's Bait doing a good job of capitalizing on it. They're going to communicate that. They're going to say, okay, Oracle TP top, keep that in mind. And that's going to affect the ganks they have, the decision-making, all that kind of stuff. So punishing the Huskar, I think it's even bigger of a deal because the Huskar wants to pressure with that catapult. He knows that if they don't bring multiple heroes, he's going to be able to do that. So just a bit of a misstep by Miposhka, so...
Yeah, I would blame him less if he didn't have boots. You know, if he had to make that long walk without boots and just feels like a lot of time out of lane, but he already had it.
It's also like Ember doesn't need you there. That's the thing, is if Ember immediately needed his assistance, that's different. But Tiny King Art misses the avalanche. But
that's a little awkward, but nice body blocking. Last hero tries to pull him off with the vacuum, but it looks like he's going to be overwhelmed. His last nukes don't even need it.
He could have just TP'd out after the missed avalanche, but his TP was 5-second cooldown, so a bit unfortunate for him there. Almost armlet done on Kasani. Number 1 net worth is Ember in the game. Top 3 net worths are all on HellRaisers. This is their game plan, though. They do have stronger lanes all around. Funnick is going for the Necrobook build this game, as this game's going to ramp up pretty quick, as Huskar only requires 1 or 2 small items, Beastmaster only requires 1 item, and Ember can honestly function with however few items his team really requires him to function with, and he's already number 1 on the net worth. So I am a bit concerned for the next 5 minutes or so of Bait once those items do come online.
Did Dendy already clear through that stack that he built up for himself just to the right? I assume he did.
I assume so, but I did not actually see it.
Yeah, just
based on his net worth, I would say no. But you know, he did. He is going to struggle in lane naturally, as we talked about against the Huskar, as the lane gets higher leveled.
Yeah.
So Terrorblade is going to be hitting up those newts. Really important for him to look for some split pushing opportunities when HellRaisers tries to group around objectives. It's pretty much when the Beastmaster wants to connect with the Huskar is when things are going to start to happen. The magic is going to occur. And that's really based on the timing of the Huskar. Either he communicates it, or the Beastmaster, or he just rotates to the Beastmaster. And he seems perfectly content farming his own jungle. They are just being more efficient on the map, as all 3 cores on the dire side are farming while also giving Tiny the mid lane. Looks like Bait's attempting to do the same thing by giving Doom the mid lane and punishing this greed, but Funnick is too fast with those boosts. Is that Terrorblade not at boots, or was he just boar slowed?
Boar slowed.
Yeah,
Funnick's been doing a really good job of playing around these ink swells by good micro from the boar.
Yeah, I've learned the only way that Beastmaster can protect himself is in lane is positioning your board to hit the guy when he tries to commit onto you. It's the only defense mechanism he has, and it's a really important part of his laning kit as Kasani yoinks it.
So close.
For anyone trying to learn Beastmaster, because I'm sure you see it so often in your 3K pub games.
Damn, Brian. You ain't got to do the viewers like that. They're the reason we have a job.
That's true.
Toss backwards onto the Necronomicon to make sure they actually dies. But Chrysalis is going to come in with meta popped. If they could stop these TPs, it'd be fantastic. But looks like King R.
This is a mid laner and
be the only
metamorph, so a pretty heavy investment for a support Tiny, as they are just losing mid lane. So instead of going both cores in the same lane, they elect to pressure both towers at once, with the Ember coming to the Huskar and the Tiny going to the Beastmaster. So this is another approach to it. I like this overall. It's more convenient for the Huskar. If he goes up to a fight and maybe it turns into a 3v3, he might die there. He might get bursted in a way that Armlet's not going to make him survivable enough. So in this case, much more of a 100% success chance when the engagement is forced bottom and then you're able to now push mid. But Darkseer
part of the way they protect it, right,
top.
is the ward behind the tier 1 mid. So they just basically gave themselves that extra insurance that Huskar wouldn't be overwhelmed
That's
with
important.
that kind of split play.
Surprised Darkseer was able to get top, but that's the nature of the Ember rotating, as he's now just going to feed the Huskar, it looks like.
Yep.
Going for that Halberd next. It's kind of funny to me that Huskar is not a good hero right now, just because all the items he likes building are pretty broken right now. So, like Satanics, and Halberds. So it's kind of odd that the hero really is just bad to the point that broken items, usually the items that are broken can have a pretty heavy way on who builds them being good or not.
This is looking really bad for Bait. They got a 3-man smoke into these guys, but at the same time, there's a rotation happening right behind them, so it's going to be a 3 versus 4. They have to get this kill fast onto the Beastmaster, but he's going to be saved by the Oracle just in time. That leads into the Primal Roar. Stun onto 1, 5 up. He does manage to get off the Doom, but they're already dead. They've already lost this fight. Ego's just looking to chase down the Doom, gets that kill with the Slight, and Dendy on his way out may still be caught. If he gets chained, Maposhka already gave up on the kill, so never mind.
When you say on his way out, could you elaborate?
Well, he's on his way out of this lane.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But potentially on his way out, you know, metaphorically, leaving this plane of existence, moving on to the next.
Okay, I was wondering what you were going for there.
You know, you got to leave your options open when you don't know how a fight's going to end. Brian.
It's true. It's true. In a game of Dota.
In a game of Dota.
Leaving the armlet on, aren't you supposed to turn it off? I'm not actually sure. It's been so long since I played Huskar. He was one of my hero puddles way back in the day, and then he became a mid laner.
Oh,
and,
no.
That was the end of the relationship between Huskar and I.
It's funny how that happens. It's like heroes can change roles, but I feel like when your hero goes into the mid, you're like, no, I'm good. You kind of need to be a mid laner to take that position.
Yeah,
even
if it was an off laner, I could
hero.
work with that because I get to lane against those guys all the time, and I got to practice that a lot. But mid lane, completely different mechanics, completely different dynamics of the matchups. As Dendy's caught by the chains into the avalanche toss combo, which should be enough to bring him down, and he makes sure he invests every little bit of burst that he can from Ego, getting the kill, and just another thing going wrong for Bait.
Yeah, I mean, there was this stretch of time for like 5 minutes where he was just kind of running around back and forth between mid and bottom, not really accomplishing a whole lot. Now they've lost a couple of fights, and Dendy is just falling in net worth compared to everybody else. It's only the Terrorblade on the side of Bait that's doing okay for himself. And even he is being eclipsed by both the Huskar and the Ember. So
I will say that HellRaisers has to be very careful. If they take one major misstep this game and suddenly the game's even, I think their draft has a really hard time executing, as the late game scaling of Terrorblade is pretty much the be-all end-all this game around, because he scales well against Beastmaster as well as Huskar. And Ember's not really enough of a threat to prevent him from out-carrying the other two heroes. Huskar does have the Halberd complete. Wonder what he'd go for next. BKB, Satanic, Soul Cuirass. I'm sure those are about the 3 items he's thinking of. Maybe a Lotus Orb. But
feels like this play has to work.
Yeah, it does. It does have to work.
This is a...
Oracle breaks the smoke on last hero.
They're right inside Roshan.
They know they're in there because they broke.
Yeah.
Time up.
Okay, Fishman's...
He's checking with his body.
He managed to get the Soulbind before he's going to die here, and they get the double doom off. This is looking bad for HellRaisers. They get vacuumed back into a beautiful Inkswell stun. If they could just finish off Maposhka, that's pretty easy. Now, eventually, Huskar will die here as he'd been burned out from way too much, even with the Oracle heals. Now it's just the Ember Spirit who's the real big threat, but with the numbers advantage, Bates feeling pretty good about themselves, as long as they don't overextend, as long as Dendy doesn't get caught in a combo here.
Yeah, that was really important. They shut that down. I think if Huskar gets Aegis, like their win condition for fights is gone, because that's exactly how they win fights on the side of Bait, is getting that Doom on the Huskar. Bonus for the double Doom, but that's the most important target. Even with the Oracle ulti, wasn't enough to save him. As I think they're just going to walk back in and do it again anyway, but at least Bait was able to just slow down that process just a bit.
Yeah, maybe.
At book 3 on Beastmaster, so D-Ward's coming out.
Sadly, this time around, they don't have a whole lot of good poke for this to really slow down.
They are
Roche.
all in. They go in, or they can't fight at all.
Yeah.
Ult the Roche. Break the Lincolns. Huskar's ult does damage to Roche, unless they change that. Does like 40% of his health.
Well, apparently they're going to do it without that. They've got the Blink Dagger on the Tiny as well, so there's a lot of timings coming forward for HellRaisers. That's a pretty sick Doom mask.
I didn't see it yet. Is it the new one?
I'm guessing so. It looks like...
no, that's an old one, I think.
It looks like the Mad Max, the bad guy in the latest Mad Max.
Yeah, I think that one's old, but I don't think it's very common. That Huskar set, on the other hand, is the new one. Don't really understand the lore behind him having a chainsaw, but not going to question that one.
Wait, what?
The new set of him has a chainsaw.
Really?
Yeah, look at his offhand's a chainsaw. See?
Oh my goodness! Oh, okay.
At least it's not on his main hand where your chainsaw's chucking spears. That'd be real sus.
Don't try that at home, kids. Don't try in one hand a chainsaw. That sounds like a bad play.
Also, if you one-hand a chainsaw and one-hand a spear, every time you throw the spear, you will not have another one. That is not how it works in real life.
That's a good point, Brian.
Thank you. As Terrorblade completes the Sange and Yasha, going the status resistance luxury build that most carries like to go when they have a Darkseer. Curious to see if Dire elects to get a Yule Scepter on any of their heroes to counter the Ion Cell Surge. The last hero is able to get his level 15 talent in a timely manner. That 400 extra health on Ion Shell is pretty nice in the game.
It would be very massive.
What are we talking about?
Level 15 talent on Darkseer.
Yes.
Did you forget what you were talking about, or were you testing me?
I was just being oddly weird today. Just try to make this game entertaining as we are waiting for this Huskar to just walk down a lane. It's like the script for Huskar is so one-dimensional. You get the first Roche, you kill all their buildings because they don't want to fight you. And this is like bonus. This is icing on the cake here, getting pickoffs with your other heroes because the opponent, they're going to play the other two lanes. That's what's going to happen every single game. Yep. You want to at least try to threaten high ground. Usually you just get outer tier 2s with that first Aegis, but if you're able to have this much of a power spike because all the ultimates were on cooldown before the Roche was used, it's time, Bait. You got to fight. You can't just lose a Rax at 19 minutes.
Yep, they're going to have to set this up. A Soulbind into double Doom, but they don't really want to have to go through an Aegis Huskar. Denny's finally up on King R. He's going to make the initiation first. They catch the Doom. Now there's no combo, Brian.
He's got buyback, though.
He does have buyback, but it's going to be too late to save this lane of barracks.
That oops line sums that up. He was in the fray. He got in there, but I don't think he was expecting Tiny Airlines to be his travel destination or whatever you call it.
Yes.
You know what I mean.
Yes. Not the destination, but the transportation.
Yes, exactly. His destination on point, method of transportation, not so much. As Dendi is Ion Shelled up. Doesn't have a Yule Scepter yet. As a mid lane Void Spirit 20 minutes in.
Yeah, that's
One
pretty
could
bad.
argue timings are a bit slow here. But Darkseer pretty farmed.
One could argue that. Are you arguing that, Brian?
I think I'm more just stating it at this point, not arguing. It's like, if you disagree with me, you're welcome to have your delusional opinion on the matter. I'll just drop the subject.
That sounds like a BSJism to me.
Yeah.
If you disagree with me, you're wrong.
You're welcome to your delusional opinion. You have to understand the people I deal with in Twitch chat every day. Eventually, your tolerance levels, they drop. Surely, but slowly. And quickly.
Again, Brian, those are our customers.
Yeah.
Those are doubly your customers.
They
both
know
as
it,
a
though.
streamer and a commentator.
They know it. Like they understand that the customer's always right. Like it
Brian-
really doesn't apply.
Brian, you'd be an expert at negging.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, well, that's going to be a second tier 3 down, and I don't know how much longer the Aegis has.
This is the
Is
dream.
it 30 seconds or a minute and a half?
It's definitely. Let's see. I think it's 30 seconds. Yeah, because it
Okay, well, 30. It's still 30 seconds too long at this point.
looks like they're gonna back off. They know they don't want to. The one. Oh, nope.
Well, 5. He's dead.
5 ups out again. And
Oh, the double doom. Okay, they
he
got
needs to
something
die.
off this
He needs
time.
to die. Don't kill him. Don't kill him.
Oh,
Radiant.
what a vacuum combination
Don't
into the
kill him,
wall. That's a
Radiant.
nice one, but at the same time, they've
No.
already killed the Doom, and he's going to come back. Now he's ready to fight again. He's got, okay, that's a BKB, and it looks like Doom's going to be dying again. Looks like Dendy's trying to go from a Poshka, trying to deal with the supports in the back line with the Ion Shell. Nicely done. Does manage to get that kill and get out, drawing HellRaisers away. Meanwhile, though, Ego is right in front of Bait Space and killing supports, and now going to be killing Darkseer as well. So
That was really funny looking because he was tiny toss and Huskar was dunking him at the same time. So Huskar dunk was like slow motion because he was like going further than he was. Do you know what I mean? Like he was supposed to go further, but the toss was coming towards him. That's
we
kind
were
of
just
funny
kind of
looking.
clashing together.
Yeah.
And,
You know, like in the when you're younger and you'd have something successful and you'd like belly or chest bump somebody. That's what it looked like. You know, Huskar was jumping, the tiny was tossing the other guy, and they're chest bumping. I just want to say the Huskar's Aegis was out in 5 seconds, and they all in committed to killing him.
yeah.
Let him live for 5 seconds.
Not the
Leave
smartest
him alive.
play. I mean, they already gave up 2 lanes of barracks, Brian.
Yeah, they kind
You know, in order to try and fight without the Aegis, and then they fought with the Aegis anyway.
Yeah, they kind of just keeled over and died this game, I feel like. I think they could have put up more of a fight. The early lanes didn't go as poorly as, like, I think HellRaisers needed them to end the game at this stage. But then Bait, kind of similar to the first game, had these long cooldown team fights. And Huskar doing a BSJ impression for sure as he dies in the fountain at 23 minutes in a for sure win, giving the opponent a non-zero chance to win this game. I was wrapping up and giving my closing thoughts, but HellRaisers have decided to put on a show for us and give us a little bit more Dota to watch, as they also want to make the panel come back down, but then give them false hope.
Yeah, I think HellRaisers playing directly into your strength, Brian. You get to talk a little bit more.
Is that my only strength, Cap?
No, you're
Okay.
a good Dota player, too.
Oh, thanks, man.
Looks like they've jumped a little too far. And Dendy is going to die.
He's fine.
He's a dead man. he'll shake it off. He's got a buyback. He's all good.
He'll be up by the time Huskar gets to his base.
And he's a-coming.
Doom does have a blink. No longer requires tiny airlines to take the bird's eye view approach to the fight.
And they've got a BKB on Terrorblade.
Maybe he's
hard
not
to
going to
bring
be up
down.
in time, actually. The Huskar got there faster than I thought he would.
Okay, he's gonna.
There he
have
okay,
to
he's alive in
fly back
time.
with
He's
18
alive.
seconds.
TPing
and,
in.
He's going straight into them apparently, and straight out. Astral step away. He's been rooted. Okay, he's good. They do manage to get the double doom once again, locking down this Huskar, but he's got his BKB and he's just fighting back. Unfortunately, a lot of his damage comes from those fire spears, and Crystallis, he just gliding at him, running straight towards that Huskar, and then decides maybe not. Doesn't want to go for that kill. A little bit scared.
The Huskar even
feel
bought
like-
a Ghost Scepter for when he got trapped in Fountain, and he was BKB'd during the time he dove Fountain, so you can't Ghost Scepter and BKB at the same time, Cap. But he's
Yeah.
got the 5 all stats from the Ghost Scepter.
He does.
And he's all inning it with the E-Blade now. So that's how you make it look like it wasn't a
Oh,
mistake.
nice chainstone combination. They do manage to slow down Chrysalis, but he's still pumping out some damage. Pop that Ghost Scepter, baby. The Thunder goes off. He managed to get off on Ego. Chrysalis won't stay alive, though. Kasani just pumps out too much.
Those 5 all
They
stats
can't
from that Ghost
handle him.
Scepter kept him alive there.
They did indeed. Looks like he just had the whole plan put together to wipe out Bait. Bait may not end up the last in their group,